Hi, welcome back to Parenting Connections. I'm your host, Dr. Tyra Hodge. Today I have a special guest. We have Sam Sorbo in the house with us. She not only is she an actress, but one of the things that she's really proud of, or what I think that makes her special, is that she is a homeschool mom. And when parents are sending their kids off to boarding schools or even just private schools, she's chosen that her kids will be raised in an environment that she can control.
Yeah.
Sam, thank you so much.
You said that so well. I am a control freak. That's probably my problem.
Well,
No,
within context. I mean,
my son went to first and second grade. We moved to the area for the schools because those schools were the best public
affluent. Okay.
schools.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to first and second grade. And in second grade, I recognized he wasn't being served. There were a lot of issues in the schools that you don't really pay that close attention to. But, you know, the teachers organized, they had a field trip to the zoo. And the teacher pulled us aside and she said, I'm really concerned there won't be enough parent chaperones on the field trip. We really need more parents to get involved. So a girl and I, another mom and I, we both had younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, well, if we team up, we can at least take our children, our boys, and maybe one other student with all the other kids, and we'll go and we'll help out because they're
Right.
really desperate. And we went to the zoo, okay? And all the parents with their kids, chaperoning and everything. And as we're walking around, we run into four teachers. And the four teachers addressed our children, are you having fun? And did you go see the gorillas and whatever? And then as we walked away, my girlfriend says to me, did you notice that they didn't have any kids with them? They were taking the day off.
Oh my gosh!
Because if you
they
can
were on their own
convince all
field
the
trip.
parents
Mm-hmm,
to come and help,
mm-hmm.
you get a day off.
Wow!
And no, I
Wow!
don't get down on teachers. That's fine. But see, that's not the deal, right? That's not the deal. The deal is I give you my child, you return somebody who's educated.
But what if you were somebody crazy?
To what do you mean?
I mean, if they just left you with the kids, what if I was the
Yes,
crazy
they're just
person,
taking any parent.
some
Well,
crazy
look,
mom taking off
right,
my
friends of mine
kids?
had their child in a private school, and there was a parent there who was spooning children on sleepovers. And they brought that to light, but because they were conservative, the school turned against them.
So yeah,
Because a parent who diddles children is not nearly as bad as somebody with conservative values.
wow,
The
and
whole thing is crazy.
we see all this stuff playing out in media. And please know, I am still a public servant. I am still a slave to um, the public school system. And I say that with great honor because God has blessed me. And I've been in districts that have upheld our Texas conservative values, as in abstinence and stuff like that.
Good.
But I hear craziness all over. Like on the road in Austin, they were trying to, teach kids how to have same sex sex in elementary, and I can't boggle the stupidity.
No.
I mean,
it's not stupidity. Let's be frank. It's perversion.
It's definitely perversion.
That's all it is. And it's hard for us because we don't want to point the finger and say those people are perverts, but those people are perverts and they want to have sex with your children.
And they do.
And that's why
they want to make it legal.
I just advocate, look, the great news is home education isn't nearly as hard as I made it for myself. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot on the way. And so now I train parents. What are we talking about when we're talking about the education of your child? Because it's not what's happening in the schools.
Right.
That's no longer education, what's happening in the schools. And the fact is, you are better equipped. You're a doctor, right? Mm-hmm. You have more knowledge than most public school teachers, I would say, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're trusting a stranger that the government has chosen for your child instead of yourself. to just educate the child. And what is education? It's teaching the child how to be an adult. That's really all it
Wow, I didn't
is.
think about that. That's
It's
good.
teaching them good morals and to have convictions and to stand up for
Yes.
truth. And it's teaching them to have a backbone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the academics are literally secondary. But
Mm.
we've been sold this sort of pack of lies from the education institutions that no, it's the ABCs and it's the 1, 2, 3s and it's, oh, you have to know the academics. And if you don't know calculus, then you're a big fat loser. But that's ridiculous. We know that. We know that most people don't know calculus and they're very
Right.
successful. And so what's the
Mm-hmm.
big
Mm-hmm.
deal? So it's this false paradigm that the school has erected that we're now functioning in. And I'm trying to break I'm trying to break parents out of that because I broke out of it purely accidentally. I
Wow.
said to my husband, I think I could homeschool our son and fail and he'll still be better off because of everything else that was coming home from the school environment, the bullying
Wow.
behaviors and
Mm.
the superiority complex that he developed because he was the oldest child and so he was the big man. And and just the other stuff that they were doing in the school. They sent home work for me to take with us on a trip, and it turned out to be all the busy work that they didn't have to do in class. So then all of a sudden I'm the substitute teacher forcing my son to do the stuff that he knows that his teacher doesn't make him do. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was all a setup, and I just said, I'm just going to give it a shot. I think I can do it, but even if I fail, he'll be better off. And so then I sat down and I schooled my kids, and that's not what I advocate for now because homeschool is not school at home. And so, a lot of people,
What? Make sure you give us a definition of that, or your
yeah,
definition of that.
and so I do want to talk about that
Right.
because a lot of people say, well, I could never homeschool.
Mhm.
Well, what's your definition of homeschool? Right? They don't know
Right.
what homeschooling is.
Right.
Most people
Right.
don't know what homeschooling is. They just have this assumption that it's, well, I have to paint a blackboard on the wall and I have to put my child at a desk and he needs books and pencils and I have to like lord over him and tell him what to do. No. So you have to set yourself free from that to begin with.
Okay. Okay.
And then what it turns into is it's really parenting,
Mm.
which we no longer do because we send our children away from us for 8 hours
For 8 hours.
or more,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And then they come home with attitude. Why do they have attitude? Because we have undermined our own authority inside our home by telling them that there's an external authority that beats us, that's better than us, the school, right? It's the
Mm.
destruction of the family. So when you start to piece together and you keep them home, it turns into something that's bigger than you ever imagined, easier than you ever dreamed, and more rewarding than you ever imagined, right?
Mm.
It's a completely different thing. And the education, the scholarship, the academic part is secondary to that. And if you can just teach your child how to learn, which, how do you teach a child how to learn? You learn in front of them. So the best position you could be in as a parent is to not know the answer to something that your
Mm.
child comes and
Figure
asks
it
you,
out together.
right? And you say, well, I don't know. Let's go figure it out. And you show them how to look for answers. You're empowering them.
Yes.
You're also humbling yourself. And they
Mm.
go, well, even, my mom has a superpower. She can find out stuff, right?
Mm.
She might not know everything, but she can certainly find out whatever she doesn't need to, whatever she doesn't know, right? That's a huge thing for a child. And then if you take it from the Christian perspective, I believe that, look, the Bible's very clear. The Bible never says find a good school for your child. The Bible puts the parents in charge of the education of their children.
What did God tell Moses? He says, "You teach them when they're waking up, when
Yes,
you're walking by the way, when
right.
you're doing these things you think that are mundane.
When you
You're
lie down to sleep, you're
yes,
always teaching your
yes.
children, right?
Wow.
And so the reason for that is because the children look and revere their parents as gods.
Mm.
That mommy and daddy are just they're the best thing since sliced bread. And so they
Until they
revere their
turn 12.
parents. Well, okay, bear with me for a minute
Sorry.
because I want to talk to you about that, right?
Okay.
So as they're growing up, mommy and daddy hung the moon.
Mhm.
Eventually, they're supposed to transfer that relationship to God, right?
Wow. Okay.
But if you allow the school to intervene in that relationship, which it does, because the
Mhm.
school is very busy telling them, your parents don't know. We know much better than your parents. And if the school decrees something, look, first day of a field trip. Mommy, you have to sign this. Teacher says you have to sign this. Oh, isn't that cute? Okay, give me the paper. I'll sign it. Whoops, you just went under the authority of the school.
Mm.
You did exactly what the teacher told you to do, and now the teacher has authority over you. And so if the teacher says, Mommy kills dolphins because she gave you a plastic bag in your lunch, then you've just been ruined in the eyes of your child.
It's true.
And the teacher might not even mean anything by it. So you say, oh, until they're 12. Now, this is another thing that I say, and it gets me into trouble, but teenagers don't naturally rebel. They have
Okay, now
they have
I
no
want to hear this
reason to
loud as girl.
rebel.
Okay.
And the reason that they rebel is that the school has taken the authority away from the parents. So of course they're going to rebel against people who have no authority in their lives. The parents don't see that their authority has been removed, but they
Right.
removed it by
Wow.
sending their children away. And so then, of course, everything that happens in the school, so much of it is anti parent. Look at all the sitcoms that are on TV. Dad's an idiot.
Yeah, that's
Mom's,
always an idiot.
kind of hot, but kind of dumb or
Mhm.
whatever. All of the Disney movies, they kill the parents off in the first, like the kids are always orphans, right?
That's true.
Our whole culture is anti parent. Our pro abortion culture is anti child. So it's no wonder that we have children who rebel. But I will maintain my children never rebelled because my authority was never challenged.
Wow.
And they're 22, 19, and
Wow.
18
That'll
now.
preach. Okay, so that was a whole lot there that could be unpacked. There is, and before we get to much further, you have lots of content that
Resources.
resources
Yeah.
that you created for
I just
parents.
created the homeschool starter gift set.
Okay.
So this is if you wanted, if you're a grandparent, you want your kids to start homeschooling,
Mhm.
get them this, right? So it's a collection of books, including my playbook for home learning, which is actually a DVD series that
Okay.
trains parents how to think about the education of their children as a way of setting them free, emancipating them, if you will, from the schools, because the schools have been getting it wrong for quite a while.
Mm.
And so I don't know why we're continuing to trust the schools when we know that we weren't educated, right? Parents who say, I could never homeschool my kids, I don't know enough. And I'm like, okay, but you graduated high school. Yeah, I graduated high school. I'm like, but you don't know enough to teach a second grader. But you're going to send that second grader into the system that arguably turned out the likes of you. Like, what are you hoping for? Do you see what I'm saying? We
Y'all,
there's a
she's
disconnect.
real.
Well, there's a disconnect,
Mm.
that we know that we know stuff,
Yes.
but we don't have any faith in our education.
Right.
But we know that we know stuff. Well, where did we learn that stuff? We taught ourselves. But we never go back and sort of impeach it. How do I know what I know? I taught myself. How do you know what you know? Yeah, okay, you did some book learning. It's true.
Right.
You studied. You had
Mhm.
some good
Mhm.
teachers, probably, some good professors in college and stuff like that. But at the same time, much of what you know, you taught yourself.
Right.
You went on a search. You're like, I
Mhm.
want to know more about this. I'm going to read about it,
Mhm.
or I'm going to watch a documentary about it, or I'm going to, do some research, right? And we we lose faith in ourselves because there are institutions that are telling us from day one, don't try this at home, right? That's the
Wow.
school, right?
Right.
We know better. We've got it covered. And they don't, and we know they don't, but because we had K through 12 indoctrination of thinking that they do, it's very hard for us to like disconnect. There's a cognitive dissonance that's happening. And with everything that's happening in the schools today, with the pornography and the transgender bathrooms and locker rooms and all the dangers that are prevalent for young children, I'm sure you've been seeing people reading pornography at school board meetings. And the school boards are saying, but that's not pornography. because the intention was not pornography, like they're mind readers now.
Someone and they the well-meaning, they put this book on my desk, and I didn't know why they put it on my desk. It was a brand new book, and it was about this little girl who knew she was really a boy. And so I didn't know who put it on my
Right.
desk. And so I sent out this email to all the, because we're upper admin, just to let them know, I appreciate you putting on this book, but I will not be giving it to one of my counselors on their campus. I will be walking this book to the trash can, just to let you know
Jeez.
not to put anything else on
Right.
my desk
Right.
like this.
Right.
And so it ended up just being they were concerned too, and they didn't want to give it
Oh,
out. So they
oh,
were
good.
checking with
Right.
me first
Right.
before. So,
Isn't it
but,
sad that
but
people
yeah, in
lack conviction enough to know, to discern, lack
but if they didn't
discernment?
bring it to me, it would have been
Then
on a
that,
campus
that's right.
somewhere.
That's
And
right.
so and I was just sitting there in awe after I had read a couple pages,
Right.
and luckily I did. And I'm like, this, and it's sad that we did not see. Well, some people did see this coming. Everything that went into that was going on in Austin, all these battles and
Oh
all
yeah.
these things, and so I'm feeling like that because we can't put anything we want into our libraries, let's just shut down the libraries. Well, Houston ISD just shut down a whole bunch of libraries to turn them into behavior centers, and I honestly feel like it's because of the pushback that we don't want stuff in libraries, but we're gonna just stop kids from reading.
Right.
Where
Right.
we're gonna shut
We're going to
down the
discourage reading just
whole.
wholesale. Just stop reading books,
I
kids.
mean, are they trying? I mean, to sabotage? I mean, we're already America is already at the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to math and science,
Hmm.
but
Yes.
we're top when it comes to confidence. And when I read that research, when I read that research, I'm like, oh my God, I'm an educator. Something has to change.
I
But where do
don't
you
know
go?
anything, but I'm very confident
I'm
about what I don't
very
know.
top in the world. Top and
That's
don't let
funny.
us be called slacking.
That's
So,
funny.
but top in
Yeah.
confidence.
And we spend the most money per student, with the exception, I think, maybe of Switzerland. We spend the most money and we
And
get
we're
nothing.
always testing.
We get nothing for the money. We
We're
get
always assessing, and don't even let me get on that soapbox. We're always assessing, um,
yes, which
but
means we
never.
teach to the test,
Hmm.
which makes it drudgery,
Hmm.
which makes it so that children who stay in school hate to learn,
Hmm.
which means they don't want to hear, they don't want to be receptive to anything. So it's really the shutting down of the American mind. And this is a very sad thing because we've got some problems and we need some problem solvers. We need people who can think outside the box and come up with creative solutions. And we're killing all of our creativity by putting children inside boxes and institutions. That's why don't send your children to school. Keep them home with you.
Well, I am not saying that because I am an educator and I would get in a lot of trouble. But in education, it's been good to be. God used education to save my life. So that's my disclaimer on that. But my oldest daughter has chosen to homeschool, and I'm very proud of her. I'm very, very proud of her, and I've tested Maddie on the side,
Have
and
you?
she's doing well. My granddaughter,
But
and
remember,
she's
it's
doing
not about
well.
academics.
Mm,
Children learn at different paces. And what happens
true.
is we put them on a treadmill and we expect them to keep up. But
Mhm,
some of them have shorter legs.
mhm,
And so they lag behind and they might fall off the treadmill and get hurt. Right. So um, if you have a child that's dyslexic,
mhm,
and then you discover that the child's dyslexic, well, the worst thing is you don't discover the child's dyslexic. They figure that they can't keep up. They're stupid. And so they stop working. Right. Yeah. So that's sort of worst case scenario.
mhm,
So then you've basically got a dysfunctional child. in a system that
I was
doesn't
held
serve the
back two
child.
back times in elementary
And
school,
what did that do
and
to your ego?
I
And what did that
felt I
do to
was
your
stupid.
psyche, right? Right.
I was stupid. That was
But imagine you assign the child an IEP.
mm,
So now they're totally singled out and everybody knows they're stupid. They
mm,
get help so they can do the work, but they still feel stupid. The whole system is a shambles for anybody who doesn't quite conform perfectly with the model. And the model maybe serves 10% of the population,
it's true.
right?
It's true.
So when you take that home and you tailor make all of the educational stuff, all the academic stuff for the child, and you don't say to the child, you know, Jimmy, when he was 8, he could do this, right? You
Yeah.
abstain from doing that, and you allow the child to grow at their own pace, and you set the child free to study the things that the child wants to do.
Mm,
Then the curiosity of the child drives the child to learn whatever the child needs.
mm.
And if the child never learns calculus, I keep bringing up calculus because I love
Oh
calculus.
no.
And so I was always like, no, everybody has to learn calculus. It's the best. And I finally like settled for myself. No, calculus was good for me, but not for everybody.
Wow.
And so if your granddaughter never learns calculus, but she becomes a famous painter,
Mm,
or she plays piano beautifully, or she's a great receptionist, right?
mm.
Then that's a beautiful thing, to be in service to other people.
That's right.
That's a successful life,
Yes.
right?
Mhm,
And so we have to divorce ourselves from the notion that money makes the person,
mhm. It's true.
that money creates the value of the individual. It's not true. That's a
Mhm,
lie. And that's what our school is built on: college prep and career readiness.
mhm. And it is. It is. That's what we want. That's what we shoot for. Miss Sorbo, give our viewers some final words. What do you want to leave them with?
I want you to go to samsorbo.com and go find out about the homeschool starter gift set, and take a look at it. It's just going up actually this week, so I don't know when this is airing, but
Okay.
that's available. Everything else is available at samsorbo.com. I've got a ton of resources and books, and um, all the films are available at sorbostudios.com. Did
Yeah.
you see Miracle in East Texas yet?
I've seen the trailer. I've seen
Okay,
the trailer.
it's fun. It's a
Really? Well, tell me
comedy.
about it.
Miracle in East Texas.
Yes, I
It's
remember that. Okay, so when we spoke back in, I think it was 2021, y'all had just completed it,
Yeah,
and y'all were trying to get
get it into
promotion.
theaters. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
for promotions, and I know y'all are excited about that.
So it
And
came
so,
out last fall, did
okay,
really well in theaters. Now it's out on DVD, but we're considering a second theatrical
oh yay.
for Easter, just a limited engagement because there were a lot of people who missed it. It was
Okay,
only there for a
so
weekend, so um,
is it
so
streaming? In-
you know what? I'm not actually sure where you can find it, but if you go to sorbostudios.com,
Mhm.
it's there and it's available on DVD. But we're hoping to get maybe a second theatrical just for fun.
Okay.
Um,
And so, the Sorbos do so much. They do so much for voices of parents. They do so much about making content we can actually watch with
mm,
their kids, safe content. And so, if you want to support and bless, um, they don't really call it a ministry, but when you're making something for the kingdom, I believe it's a
oh, I call it a
ministry.
ministry.
She calls it a ministry. So it's a ministry. So,
We're actually a nonprofit also.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, they're a
Sorbo
nonprofit as
Studios is
well.
also a nonprofit.
So, and some of my lady friends, my single moms, if y'all want to get together and watch Miracle in East Texas, we can do that soon. Let's do it. Let's do it by the time this airs. Let's do it by the end of the month. We get together and have a little date day and
That'd be fun. It's a fun,
potluck,
fun
and we're
film.
gonna watch the movie. Okay. Thank you for watching Parenting Connections. We will talk to you soon, and thank you so much for being on
Thank
the
you.
show.